The Springboks may have left Buenos Aires with a 17-10 victory over Argentina, but the final score only tells part of the story. This was not the dominant, free-flowing South African side that rugby fans have become accustomed to seeing in recent years. Instead, it was a performance that revealed something equally important about the world champions: their ability to win even when many aspects of their game are far from their best. Coming into the match, head coach Rassie Erasmus made 13 changes to the team that comfortably defeated Wales, bringing back several key players who were playing their first rugby of the year. Siya Kolisi, Eben Etzebeth, de Jager, and Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu all returned to action, while the front five had never packed down together before. As a result, the Springboks looked like a team still searching for rhythm and cohesion. They struggled in areas where they are usually dominant, including the breakdown, aerial contests, and open play. Yet despite those challenges, they still found a way to secure the win, a quality that separates great teams from the rest. For Erasmus, this was exactly the type of difficult test he wanted ahead of the upcoming clashes against New Zealand. However, the afternoon was not without concern, particularly when Captain Kolisi was forced to leave the field inside the opening half hour after appearing to injure his left leg. With the All Blacks set to arrive in South Africa soon, the fitness of one of the team's most influential leaders will be watched closely. One of the biggest talking points from the match was the Springbok scrum. Surprisingly, it looked vulnerable early on when Thomas du Toit conceded a penalty at the first set piece of the game. Argentina quickly capitalized, earning field position and eventually scoring through Benjamin Grondona after excellent work from Pablo Matera. At that stage, South Africa appeared uncomfortable and lacked their usual authority. Their lineout also experienced difficulties, while the maul failed to generate the power and momentum that has become one of the team's trademarks. On another day, those struggles might have cost them the match. Yet as the game progressed, the scrum gradually became South Africa's most reliable weapon. The Springboks won all 7 of their scrums, while Argentina had only 2 opportunities in the set-piece battle. When confidence is low and attacking rhythm is difficult to find, a dominant scrum can provide stability, and that is exactly what happened. The decisive moment eventually came when Cameron Hinkham crossed the line following a powerful scrum that overwhelmed the Argentine pack. It was a reminder that even when other aspects of their game are not functioning smoothly, South Africa can still rely on one of the strongest foundations in world rugby. Another major storyline was the performance of the Springbok spine. Afilil Fassi, Cobus Renock, and Sacha Feinberg-Mngomezulu were expected to provide stability and leadership to a heavily rotated side. Instead, all 3 endured difficult afternoons. South Africa's kicking game repeatedly handed opportunities to Argentina, with kicks often traveling beyond the chase line and allowing the hosts to counterattack effectively. Argentine wings Rodrigo Isgro and Ignacio Mendy consistently won aerial contests and looked dangerous whenever they received space. While South Africa's scrambling defense prevented several promising attacks from turning into tries, the visitors were unable to establish the control they normally enjoy. Feinberg-Mngomezulu, returning after injury, showed encouraging signs with his willingness to attack the gain line, but he never quite managed to dictate the game. Instead of orchestrating the backline, he frequently looked for explosive individual moments, leading to uncertainty in attack. Despite carrying the ball 24 times, one of the highest totals in the match, his overall influence was limited by the lack of structure around him. Across the field, Argentina's stand-and-fly half Santiago Carreras arguably produced the more complete performance. Filling in during Tomás Albornoz's suspension, Carreras controlled territory effectively, contributed strongly in defense, and even recorded more turnovers than any other player on the field. His display highlighted the growing depth and adaptability within the Argentine squad. If there was one player who truly embodied Argentina's fighting spirit, it was Pablo Matera. With regular captain Julian Montoya unavailable, the experienced flanker stepped up and delivered a performance full of energy, leadership, and determination. At 33 years old, Matera showed exactly why he remains one of the most respected players in international rugby. He played a crucial role in Argentina's try, beat multiple defenders, made countless tackles, and constantly placed pressure on the Springboks. One of the most memorable moments came late in the game when he produced an outstanding 50-22 kick from his weaker foot, creating a valuable attacking opportunity when Argentina desperately needed field position. Even in the final minutes, he continued driving his team forward as they searched for a winning score. Although the Springboks ultimately held firm, Matera's performance served as a reminder of his quality and competitive spirit. Beyond the result itself, Argentina head coach Felipe Contepemi will likely take significant positives from the match. Much of the pre-match discussion focused on the players unavailable through injury or suspension, including Julian Montoya, Marcos Kramer, Santiago Chacaberes, and several others. However, the game provided opportunities for emerging players to showcase their talent. Francisco Moreno impressed in the front row, standing up well against experienced opposition. Try scorer Benjamin Grondona delivered a tireless shift before leaving the field exhausted after giving everything for his team. Juan Panucos handled the challenge of entering the game against South Africa's powerful bench, while Ignacio Mendy and Rodrigo Isgro consistently challenged the Springbok defense. In the forwards, Guido Petty produced a strong all-around display and helped disrupt South Africa's lineout on multiple occasions. For Contepemi, perhaps the biggest victory was discovering that these players can compete effectively at the highest level of international rugby. Looking ahead to future Rugby Championship fixtures and the end-of-year campaign, Argentina now possess greater depth and more confidence than they did before this match. One area that will attract particular attention from Rassie Erasmus during the review process is South Africa's attack. While the Springboks enjoyed more territory and possession, Argentina's defensive organization was exceptional. The hosts pushed forward aggressively without losing their shape, closing down space and forcing South Africa into errors. Despite carrying the ball far more often than their opponents, the Springboks created relatively few clean breaks. Argentina's defensive effort was led by players such as Ignacio Ruiz and Joaquin Moro, whose work rates were outstanding throughout the contest. Even when South Africa managed to build momentum, the hosts found ways to slow them down and make every attacking phase difficult. One bright spot for the Springboks was hooker Johan Grobbelaar, who produced one of the most industrious performances on the field. Carrying the ball more than any other player and contributing heavily in defense, he demonstrated once again the remarkable depth available to the world champions. Meanwhile, Eben Etzebeth played the full 80 minutes on his 142nd test appearance, a clear indication that this was far from a comfortable afternoon for the visitors. Normally, a coach with 6 forwards on the bench would manage minutes differently, but the pressure applied by Argentina meant South Africa's most experienced lock remained on the field until the final whistle. In the end, the Springboks achieved their primary objective by securing the victory, but the performance also highlighted several areas requiring improvement. Winning away from home against a determined Argentine side is never easy, and champions often find ways to prevail when conditions are far from perfect. Yet everyone within the South African camp knows that an even bigger challenge lies ahead. The All Blacks are coming, and the intensity, speed, and accuracy required to defeat New Zealand will be significantly higher than what was shown in Buenos Aires. The result will provide confidence, but the review sessions will likely be demanding. For Rassie Erasmus, the biggest positive is that his team gained valuable game time, welcomed key players back into action, and still emerged with a win. For Argentina, the defeat may hurt, but the performance demonstrated that they remain capable of challenging the very best teams in world rugby. As both nations look toward the next phase of their season, this hard-fought encounter may ultimately be remembered not for its scoreline, but for the lessons it delivered to two ambitious teams with major tests still to come. The Springboks